know if you can hear audio or not, Wayne. Hang on. Let me see. Should be some. Yep, cool. Hello. Oh, too fucking hot. I don't know if it's making a copy of the scene first. Oh, there it is. Right, hang on then. Pardon me. Right. I'm going to assume that you've got all your various things stuffed inside the content folder of Unreal Engine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a new level, and I'm going to give it default, simply because if I go default, then I'll have lovely clouds, which is great. And I'm going to just delete all the stuff that I don't want. So I need the reflectance capture sphere at the moment, or the player starts. Oh, the skylight. I'll put that in myself later. I'll keep on the light source, because light sources are useful. Okay, so if you want to use landscape auto material, which is here, there's a couple of ways to use it. If I'm just using it to make some grass and stuff, then what I'm going to do is, one second, I'll find my modes. I'm going to go to my landscape, and I need to build a new one. Hello, shaders. So I'm going to create a 15 by 15 quads with 8 components each. That'll do. I don't want it huge, you see. So, bam. And that'll just stuff it there. And what we'll have is this nice flat plane. Give it a minute. Oh, dear me. Right, so there's your flat plane. Now, obviously, you've got all the standard kind of tools you'd expect, like sculpting, circle brushes, alphas, and all that kind of groovy stuff. So, and I'm just going to make a simple hilly area here. Wow, that's really hilly. There's some more. And there. And then if I hold down Control, no, shit, Alt, no, Shift, yeah. I made like a hole. Okay, so reduce the size of that, maybe make it into an area like that. There we go. See? There. Okay, so this is our area, and I'll stick a camera here. So right click, place actor, camera. Okay, now I'm going to go back into my details view rather than modes. Oh, off we go, no more sculpting. There we go. Grab my camera, it should be down here. Lift it up so I can see a bit better. Just rotate it. As you can tell, this is a beautiful scene. Okay, there we go. So, now to apply the material, what I'm going to do is select this landscape here. If I go to details, you'll see we've got default landscape material, none. Okay, now I'm going to have to wait for all these numbers to go down, because what it's doing is it's asking me to compile my shaders. Oh god, my arms are stiff. That nice chap I did the work for hasn't been in touch for a day, but he's got the work now, so in the nav mesh, unfortunately. Right, while we're waiting, in your landscape auto material, you'll probably find a slot called materials, landscape auto material. And what you're going to do is you want one of these instances here, right? I've made a few. So this is your main material. These are instances. I'm going to right click on the main material. And create a material instance. And I'll call this WMat01. Okay. Now, as you can see, it's got a little bit more work to do there. In the meantime, I'm going to look at the news and see what shit things people have done to each other. No, but more people have chained themselves, looks over. You know, the eco site at the top had a big metal pipe and chained themselves to it this morning. Well, you know, they're trying to prevent them digging up the thing. They were quite happy lying down there in the sun, having a good time.
That sounds like it's nothing.
Yeah, it looks like the opposite of fun as far as I'm concerned. But you know, they're doing it, so I don't have to. Cool. But it can take a little while for the shaders to compile, so I'll just give it a minute or two. Obviously, the shaders on the landscape auto material are much more complicated. However, there's a lot of stuff I can do with this that, I mean, building it myself would take a ridiculous amount of time. I'm just glad I got this a long time ago. It's really expensive now. It's on YouTube. YouTube. Waiting for these to compile. Oh, it says I'm streaming, isn't that nice? On Discord. I know. It is very, very low. It's because it's my VR helmet, which is over here. See? Right. Someone in Discord reminded me how quiet my microphone is. Come on. What'll happen is it'll take flipping ages to compile all these bits until it gets to the last load and then it zooms through them. It used to be when Unreal Engine's early versions of 4, like 4.0, 4.1, the materials are compiled, like shaders are compiled really fast. And I remember like going, oh man, why does it take so long now to do it? And it's because obviously they're much more fucking complicated than they ever used to be. Oh. I hope everyone who's watching at home is doing this on their own computers. Meanwhile, let's see what movies are out. Josie and the Pussycats. Nope. Nope. Ooh, Firefox with some Easter egg. It's a good movie. Oh, I know what I was watching. Documentary on Coney Island. Yeah, it is. American Experience beyond Coney Island.
Electrodes on the right forefront and left rear. Enter the switch. There was no more.
Oh, 664. When you're using a complicated layered material like this one that allows you to paint in different layers, it can be that it'll require shading on each of these different quadrants, basically. So it can take some time, obviously, to make a new layer to put on this. However, that's obviously, you know, negative side of using a material like this.
May 27, 1911 was opening day of the season.
You can also like use alpha to make caves inside things and stuff, which is helpful.
When the circuitry started happening, light bulbs burst. Someone knocked over a bucket of hot tub, and it caught fire. In minutes, Hellgate was ablaze. Nearby fire companies got there right away, but everything was lamp.
There we go, nearly done.
Half an hour after the first alarm, the Green Man Tower.
Okay, so you'll see these two are now filled in. Okay, so there's WMAT 01. So I'm just going to save it, Control S. Now, if I open it up, rather than the usual material editor that you'll see, okay, so you'll see that we've got options here that we can change. So this is things like your tessellation, which things you've got is your slopes and all that kind of good stuff here. So you can have it grassy, you can have it sandy, you can have it snowy, you can have it under the sea and all that kind of biz. So I'm just going to drop this on. I'll let you have fun messing about, obviously, with... sorry, I'll just drag it in here. I'll let you have fun messing about with tweaking it to your heart's content, because obviously colours. So this will do a quick shader, much quicker than the last one. And you'll see that we get like the different stuff all over it. Doesn't take a minute.
At dawn, the firemen packed up and went out.
Now then, I've got some nice grass here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the grass with the placement tool. And what that's going to do is it's going to let me place lots of grass in my scene. Now, obviously, be wary when you're doing things like this, because you can use a lot of resources without even realising it if you're not careful. I'm just going to change the speed of my camera up a bit as well, so that I can get around my scene a bit faster. There we go. It's nearly done. Looks like this shader of mine may be corrupt, so I'll see if there's a different one that I can use. I like that one. I want to look better. What happened is I've edited my original landscape auto material ages ago, so I've got some quite strange artifacts with it. These are the ones that I tend to use, these two over here. There we go. We'll just compile the shaders again. Wow, that was huge. Got a documentary on Coney Island going on in the background.
There was talk of rebuilding here, but it never happened. 2 years later, George C. Tilley, Fred Thompson went bankrupt and lost Luna. World War I came. The public fascination with nuclear disasters declined.
Oh, here we go. Right, you can now see the difference, hopefully, between the two. This is an uncorrupted shader. So we've got like the rocks breaking up the slopes. Like so. Nice. Okay, so this is the base here, okay? Now I'm going to put some water in this while I'm thinking about it. So I've got the water plane, which is free from the educational section. I'm going to drop some SM ocean water just into here. Scale's wrong, so I'm just going to scale it as big as I need. And of course with Unreal Engine we don't have to worry about things like, what's it called again? Non-uniform scaling issues and things like that, because it'll just work. So I'm just going to... Now remember, again, you can obviously edit your water so that it looks like water. That will do. That looks like a straight edge there, so I'll just... Yeah. Right, and now if I go to my content here, and water plane, and lake, materials. There we go, much better. Right, so we've got this lake here. Now you notice it's not reflecting anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to modes, and I'm going to go to visual effects, sphere reflection capture. Okay, and I need to make the capture on that a bit larger, or have two. So let's see how big they are. I have three actually. So obviously these use resources. If you're doing VR, for example, sphere reflections captures can be very expensive. No problem, sweetheart. I'll see you later on.
Yep. Be back about 4. Bye.
No trouble. Bye, I love you. Okay, so you've got the lighting in here. Okay, again, basic, nice and primitive. You can still sculpt your landscape if you want to. Do a quick Control and S, and we'll call this test map. Now, if we go over to our landscape, which is our foliage, sorry, not our landscape, and I'm going to go to the landscape auto materials, meshes, grass. Now, let's say we want some grass in front of our lovely camera here. So I'm just going to select my camera if I can. Why don't you let me select my camera really? Go here, camera. Reflection captures need to be rebuilt. Oh, sugar lumps, hang on then. We're going to do that. Yeah, there's one. Let's come back out of this. For some reason it's not letting me edit these bloody things. I don't want to build the light at the minute because that'll cause all kinds of problems. I can't remember why it won't let me grab the reflections captures now.
I worked the whole truth on the art. And I worked the game, I worked the live, I worked the doctor, I worked the birdcage, you know what I mean?
It was done the equivalent of crashing this one, contents, maps, build area, test one. That's better, sphere reflections capture. There it is. Right, so I'm gonna how's it gone? Where's the rebuild button gone? I think I've lost it somewhere. And I'll just delete them. One. Do them again. 2, 3. Modes. Sphere reflections capture. Visual effects, no. Lights, no. Geometry, no. Easily placed. There we go. You. Details. Yep. And we'll increase that to 6,000. So it gets everything. Okay, I'm going to build that at build time. Okay, next. I've got some light, so I'm going to rotate the light, so I've got some light coming from the front instead of the back. Or we could have it coming from over the top of the mount if we wanted. Might do that instead. I'm going to get my camera, and I'm going to stick the pin button here so I can see what's happening. Okay, so my camera now gives me a good indication. Now, I'm going to go to my modes, foliage, contents, landscape auto material, meshes, grass, small grass. Drop your foliage here, so I'm going to get basically these 4. Dump. Now, if I just dump them, you'll notice that we get loads of grass now, right? You've got to be careful of your overlaps and your density, because obviously if it's too dense, That's not a cool thing. So check here. The brush size is okay. The density is nice and low actually at 0.15. If you was to check it at 1, you notice obviously you're getting the summer meadow scene. So be very careful with how you're doing this. I'd say about 0.25 probably going to be fine. But we can change the density individually for certain objects. So for example, if I go back now, and let's have some trees. And I'm going to drag that down a little bit, take my modes and I'm going to put it here. Okay, just drag that across. Okay, there we go, just so I can kind of keep an eye on stuff over here. And I'd say we'll have some leaf trees. So there's a nice leafy tree. And if I select my tree covered in leaves, there it is. I can now change things like density, which I'll change to 0.05. The radius between foliage instances I'll change to 0.1. I'll give us a bit of distance. Scaling will be uniform and I can change its height to a minimum of 0.8 and a maximum of 1.2. So I'll get variation on it. I can also affect my Z placement on it. And my random yaw and random pitch, which is kind of useful. So if I do that, you'll notice I'm not getting many trees in it at the moment. Just check its ticks. And it will increase the density to 0.1. Still nothing. It's determined not to appear, isn't it? There it is. Okay, I'll just leave its density at 1 then, because it's obviously pulling it off the main pattern. So if I do that, you'll notice we have like a tree there now. Maybe pull some down here. There's another tree. And then if I go over here, where this little piece of valley is, what I could do is I could just do that. Draw in some backgrounds, as it were. It's coming behind these trees. And these are all instanced, so we don't really need to be too concerned about it killing our bandwidth or anything. There we go. So we've got some trees up there now. Now then, let's have perhaps some rocks and things. So I'm going to go and get here you are, go over here. Lighting, I'm going to throw a skylight in. Okay, and that'll just allow us to use the environment for some additional lighting there. Now, if I want to smear different things all over my, my landscape, what I can do is just come over here and I can just turn these off now, and it means that I'm only going to paint with the one that's checked. Now this is really useful because if I go over to content over here, and let's say I've got some rocks. Now there's probably some again in my landscape auto material, I think about it. Stones, here we go. So there's a stone. They all look pretty much the same, to be honest. There we go, I'll have those two. Click and drag. And now if I just drag along the edge, you'll see I'm getting these stones. Now the usefulness for this is obviously that go away. There. The useful part of this is that, you know, these are going to be great for doing gravel and stuff. So if I take the scale of this at the minute, which is 1 to 1, I can change that to 0.1 to 0.25. Okay, and I can change the uniform to 3 if I want, or lock it on various axes. I can keep the density if I want to, or change that as well. This one, what I can do is change the offset to have it deep in the ground or less deep in the ground, but this will be 0.05 to 0.15. Okay, so now if you look, I've got much smaller stones going in over here. So if I change my paint density to perhaps 1 and reduce my brush density to 128, you'll see that we can now start to paint rocks into our scene. Okay, now again, if you're doing this for anything like VR, it's going to be incredibly intensive on your system. VR is really not great with foliage, so it's better to like manually place stuff. However, this is going to be really good, obviously, if you want to do things like, just set the scale Let's set the second rock to scale of 0.8 to 1.5. Say I want to put some rocks around the base of this to make it look more natural. So I'll change this to 256 again.
The song about the sailor and he's just happy being at sea with his pet, getting the fish and his girlfriend next to him.
You know, so I can have like a bank of rocks going along here. Now that's pretty dense, to be fair. Let's change that to a much lesser density. Just have a look and see how that looks. Oh, that's a bit better. Still a bit too dense though. Change that again. Bit better. I'm going to change that back to 0.1. No, that's better. Much looser. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to paint on top of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I can hide it if I want to. So it's my landscape, not landscape. This is my... What is this thing called? I've completely forgotten. Ocean water, that's it. I can hide it or just move it out of the way or whatever. I'm just going to drag it down for the minute so it's out of my way. And then if I remember where my coastline is, or whatever I'm calling it, my waterline. Okay, so just... Remember, it's going to be a bit weird on slopes. It might not want to draw on certain slopes. Well, not weird, it's just the way this tool is. However, you kind of get the point. Okay, so now if I bring this back up, again, just using the move gizmo. There we go, now we've got them poking out the water much more prettily, as it were. And then finally, for placement of some assets, let's just make a quick pier or something. So I shall go to, see, the starter content would be ideal for this. Architecture, 400 by 200 wall. So I'm going to rotate this. Maybe a 90. Rotate it this way. Let's go find where the camera is. There it is. So. And the thing is, of course, like, this is all lovely and interactive, or whatever you want to do with it. So 60 degrees should do, and I'm going to get it nice and high because it's obviously supposed to be a jetty or something. There we go. Lovely. That one there as well. Okay, now what I'm going to do then is get this pillar, rotate it 60 degrees, 30 degrees, whatever's going to work. There we go, 30 degrees. I can non-uniform scale it on the X and Y, 0.5, 0.5, there we go. So I've got these nice pylon things going on. Just put one there.
Immigrant parents who had saved up all year to spend one day at Tommy
And that. Let's make it look a bit rough, you see.
and moved to the suburbs.
And then take this one.
In 1944, fire struck the island again, ripping through the and gutting all but a few lives. The park lived on for a couple of
And,
seasons,
oops, shit, there we go.
then closed forever in 1946.
Okay, so, nice and uneven, just the way I like it, you see. Just as if it's been kind of cobbled together. Now for materials, if you've got a material ready to go, groovy. If not, let's get the starter content again. And I'm sure we've got a material in here that's like a just old wood or something. Maybe our worn walnut floor, that'll do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, not you.
Then,
4.
September 20th, 1965, while all men resigned, and there was no business
Okay.
played out over the public addresses.
So now we have like this jetty going over.
For each of the 67 years,
Let's move this in a little bit so we can see it a bit better.
the lights went off tier by tier. Blazed out one last time. Then steeplechase went.
There we go. So we've got some wind coming in now. We've got some water moving in the background. What we could do is we could take the sun, which is our light source here, and if we want to, we could do things like light shaft occlusion, light shaft bloom. Okay, and now if I look at where my camera actually is, we can change our light source. About there, so now we can see like our light shafts coming through a bit better. Where's this thing pointing? Go away from me, fly. No one likes you, especially me. Okay, so we'll have the light coming straight down there so you can see it. Okay, now if you go into your starter content again, okay, there's some nice little things you can use just to buff up your scene. So let's have some ambient dust. Just place it in front of the camera. Now you'll see it as you zoom in a bit. Okay, just literally put it there. Okay, so you'll be seeing it on this if you were to be looking at the camera off, which we're not. Let's see, anything else I can think of just to throw in this for the time being? Well, let's have a... should have some rocks. Here we are, sculpted rock pack. Great little pack this, bought this a while ago. Meshes. And let's just have a big old mesh.
Very powerful, primitive, creative urges in all people, not just artists, not just developers, but somehow all people coming together.
Let's put some hero rocks in, you see. Always looks better when you put these kind of things in. Let's see. Maybe that one there. That one there.
I deeply believe will provide the opportunity to do special things.
Okay. There we go, you see. And that is how you build a landscape or something like that in Unreal Engine in however many minutes it has been. If there are any questions, please do let me know what they are, as I will be happy to hear them. Just going to get a Scotch pipe. And yeah, man, I think I'm done. Ah, shit balls. Last thing, right? You're going to render this, presumably. If you want to render it, some really important things you need to do. Okay? Like a really simple thing, but it's important. You want to go to your volumes. Well, you want a light mass importance volume, okay? Because there's no point rendering everything. You know, it's much easier just rendering what you can see. So, light mass importance volume, and scale it. Okay, just to cover the bits you need. So, do you need the far side of this mountain lit? You probably don't. Or hill, or whatever it is. So, let's bring it over to here. And take there. And then there we go. So that way it'll light the top of the tree as well, all the way down to the bottom of the water. Alright, so this is the volume obviously that you've been, you know, worked to or whatever. And now if I save and then hit build, this will build the entire scene and calculate the lighting. So build. And that's that.